All right, so let's go through these calculations. I'm going to go through each session, and I'm going to use myself as an example for the math. So for session 1, we're going for age predicted heart rate max. That's going to be what we're basing this off of. So step 1, we need to find age predicted heart rate max. So 220 minus age is 23. That gives me 197. Okay, so that's the number I'm going off of. Step 2, find 50 and 60% of age predicted heart rate max. So I'm going to take 197 times 0.5 for 50% and times 0.6 for 60%. That's going to give me about 99 rounded. Then about 118, again, rounded for that. Once I have those two numbers, that is my heart rate range. So I want to be keeping session 1 within 99 to 118 beats per minute. I don't want to go below that. I don't want to go above that in a perfect world. Step number 3 is going to help us find the workload. So this is when you would use your equation from the YMCA test. I'm not going to go back and find mine. I'm just going to use the example equation that is on Blackboard. So I would set 0.0933x plus 56. Set that equal to 99. And then same thing, set equal to 118. When I do these, subtract 56 from the number, divide by 0.0933x. Okay, my answers that come out, 461 here. Again, these are rounded off, and 665 here. That is not my final answer, but these are the numbers that I will use for the next part. Step 4 is to pick a cadence. It's suggested between 50 and 80 RPMs. The way it works is if there's a higher RPM, then you're going to have to push less weight. If the RPMs are lower, you're going to have to push more weight. But mathematically, it should always come out to the same workload, either way that you go about it. So you're going to pick a cadence. I'm going to pick 70, just for ease, so 70 RPMs. Let's go with that. Then the last step is how to actually find the kgs for each workload. The way we do this, kilograms, which is what we're looking for, times cadence, RPM, times 6 equals workload. So I'm going to set it up, kg times 70 times 6. The 6 is a constant. That is because of the bike that we're using. I'll set that equal to 461. And then again, I will set the exact same thing, equal to 686, or 665, sorry. 665. Okay. From there, multiply these together, divide by that number. I've already done it. Comes out to 1.1 up here, which I round to 1 kg. And then the bottom one comes out to 1.58, so I round that to 1.5. Okay, so this is session 1 done. So session 1, this is the math. This is how it looks. The numbers that matter are right here and down here. This you do not need anymore. This is just for the equations. So this is my heart rate range. This is what I want to keep that person in for the whole 5 minutes as much as possible. And these are the ranges that I can put them at. So the warm-up is always 0.5. And then after that, when the 5 minutes begin, I'll probably start them at 1. And if their heart rate is below 99, then I'm going to move them up to 1.5. If their heart rate is getting too high, I will move them back down to 1. Okay, so don't view this as like I'm going to go somewhere in between. It's one or the other. It's 1 or it's 1.5. To keep it easy, you'll go up if they need more, down if they need less. All right, so let's go to session 2. For session 2, this is slightly different, but a lot of the same. The only real difference is we're using heart rate reserve rather than the age predicted max. So I already know my heart rate max is 197. Heart rate reserve is that number minus resting heart rate, which I'm going to put at 54 for myself. And then I'm going to get that, which is 143. All right, so 143 is my heart rate reserve. From there, I'm going to find 70 and 80% of that number. Okay, big thing of this number. So now when I'm setting it to the percentage, I'm not going to use 197. I'm going to use 143 times 0.7 times 0.8. These give me my numbers, which is about 100 for this one and 114 for the next one. But don't forget this detail. I now need to add resting heart rate back in. Okay, if you don't, these are going to be way too low. So I get these numbers, and then I need to remember to add in that 54 that I took out earlier. And this will give me my true heart rate zones. So for me, 154 and 168, okay? That's my heart rate zones that I need to work in. From there, I'm going to set those equal to the equation. The exact same process as I did for the last session. So I'm going to do it 0.0933x plus 56. Again, I'm using the sample equation. You will use your own. Equals 154. I'll do the same thing for 168, right? When I do the math on these, I get 1,050 and 1,200. Okay, again, I'm not going to use these beyond the next step, but I need them so that I can find the workload. So now I'm going to set these into the equation with whatever cadence I pick. So let's stick with 70 RPMs. 70 RPMs, kg times 70 times 6 equals 1050. I'm going to do that. The math comes out to about 2.5. All right. And I do it again to find my upper limit. Everything is the same. 1,200. And this gives me 2.85, which I'm going to round to 3. Okay. Star it. These are my important numbers. I need them working when they're in that 5 minutes. They need to be within these two, and they need to be using these workloads to get them there. All right, that's the estimates. Session 2 is a toughie, okay? And then session 3. So for this one, we are going back to age predicted heart rate max, and we're finding essentially the exact same thing as we did in session 1, except we're using 40% and 100%. So 197 for me times 0.4 and times 1, we know this, 197, and then times 0.4 is about 79. Okay, so this is my 40% and 100% intensities. From there, put them into the equation. Okay, exact same process. 0.0933x plus 56 equals 79. And then equals 197. Okay, so for me, I did the math. This comes out to about 247 and 1511. Okay, and then from there, same process. I pick my RPMs, and that's going to depend, or that's going to impact what workload I'm at. For session 1 and 2, make your cadence stay the same for both equations. Don't change cadence. It's just going to get confusing. For this one, you can do the same thing. You can keep the cadence the exact same for both intervals. But because it is intervals, that they are kind of separated, I changed cadence. So in this example, I'm going to be using 2 different RPMs to get my numbers. Okay, and I'll explain why. So for my low intensity, right, this is low intensity. So if I make like a graph, this is intensity on the y-axis, this is time on the x-axis. They're starting very high intense, okay, almost 100 for about 30 seconds. Then they're going to drop off to their low intensity for 2 minutes. We'll go back up, repeat. Okay, so the intensity is going to look something like this, where it's high intensity, recovery, high intensity, recovery. This space right here is 40% intensity. The spaces up top, the shorter lines, are 100% intensity. So when I'm pedaling hard, the RPMs tend to be higher. So if I'm working within this 50 to 80 recommended range, I'm going to choose the higher end. And then when I'm in a rest interval, I'm not working as hard and I'm recovering, I like to, pedal a little bit slower. So I'm going to go on the lower end. That's why I'm using different RPMs for each of these intervals. Again, for 1 and 2, keep it the same the whole time. For session 3, I think it's reasonable to modify that, but as a tester, you need to be conscious that they go into the right RPMs for each stage. So I'm going to set these up. I told you different RPMs for different stages. Okay, so for my easy interval, like I said, they're going to go a little bit slower as RPMs. I do the math. After setting this equal to 247, it comes out to 0.67, and I'm going to round that to 0.5, okay, for ease. This one I set to 1511, and my number is 3.15. That's going to become 3. Okay, now in this one, I don't want you to think of this as a range. I want you to think in that 40% interval, this is 0.5. In the 100% interval, this is 3, using my numbers, right? Yours are going to be different. But that's how I want you to view this, okay? Session 3 is unique in that it is not ranges as much, but these are the intensities that you should be working at for each part. So that's how we do the math. Heart rate range is recovery and pretty much maximal. And then that's how we get the workload. For these two, heart rate range you want to stay in, workloads to get you there. And then again, heart rate range to stay in, workloads to get you there. How it'll look is always going to be, not always the same, but very similar. So warm up, 2 minutes, at 0.5 kp, kg, however you want to think about that. That's always the same. For sessions 1 and 2, after the warm-up stage, you'll just go 5 minutes within heart rate range at either upper or lower intensity. Meaning, if at the 3-minute mark, their heart rate isn't high enough, or even at the 1-minute mark, if their heart rate's not high enough, we're going to bump them up to that higher end intensity out of the two numbers that you got in your math. And vice versa. If they're working too hard, we'll bring them back down. For sessions 3, slightly different. We go warm up, 2 minutes at 0.5. Then you're going to up the intensity. So really interval 1, 30 seconds at whatever, the upper we're calling it. Interval 2 is 2-minute rest. In my example, it goes back to 0.5 because that's what my math was, but it's really just your lower number. That might not be 0.5 for you. This just repeats again, okay? This repeats one more time. So the warm-up is 2 minutes. Then you go into a 30-second all-out go, 2-minute recovery stage. Your third interval is another 30 seconds all out, and then you end with that 2 minutes recovery stage. Okay, that's how we do the math. That's how we format our actual protocol. Hopefully that answers any questions. We'll handle any other ones in lab.